Hello. Hi, everyone. This is Rahul, your filmy Banya, and I'm so happy to be back on our amazing podcast. And today we are joining in almost after 2 months of break. Delhi was ravaged by the carnage of COVID. We were in lockdown. We are still in lockdown. And this is possibly one of the most profound times I have been through. That was the reason I couldn't come and do more episodes. A lot of friends known passed away, and it's a really terrible time for all of us. But you know what? We have been doing some amazing work in charity. Roundtable India, which Filmy Bania supports, is doing a lot of work in procuring oxygen cylinders, oxygen concentrators, ventilators, and organizing hospital beds. Roundtable India is our main charity whom we work with, and what we have already contributed from our side to the movement, and you'll find the details at the end of this episode, and I hope all of you generously contribute to this humanitarian cause. So now, coming to the subject and the talk and the episode of today, we are back with our usual suspect, Mr. M.K. Raghavendra from Bangalore, who's our in-house resident scholar, stroke expert, stroke PhD, stroke you want to call whatever, the mastermind we have on film academics. And today is a very, very interesting day because we're going to be talking about something which is very, very vivid, very, very out there, and something which a lot of people are failing to acknowledge. And that is the portrayal of small town India in television shows and films, now on streaming networks, on cinema halls when they were open, you would have remembered. And since quite a few years, we are seeing an avalanche of content uh, when it comes to stories which are based in small town India. Just to give you a little example, there was a movie which came a few days back called Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, which was directed by none other than Dibakar Banerjee, who's a very well known film director, and it came out on Netflix. There is the amazing TV show called Mirzapur, which is based in Uttar Pradesh, and there is Madam Chief Minister, there is Maharani. There are umpty examples we've talked about. So today, what we're going to do is I and Raghavendra sir are going to talk about the portrayal and what is the academic perspective. What is the reason why small towns are becoming the hot favorite for filmmakers across? Now you have to remember this is not happening for last 1 or 2 years. This is happening for last 7, 8 years, and actually much more than that. But now it has like graduated into like an institution, and institution as in they are the filmmakers and the producers have institutionalized the process of finding stories which resonate with small town India. So today, so Raghavendra sir, much welcome from our side, and congratulations, you are vaccinated. Good news for us. So that makes you fully, set to handle the skirt of COVID. And I hope everybody in your family is fine.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Now over to you.
See, this is an interesting thing. I mean, after you told me to watch certain movies, I had to look at them. I hadn't this idea, this subject much thought earlier. Now, the basic thing is when certain movies take a certain okay. I mean, there's a certain proliferation. The basic thing is whenever any motive proliferates in mainstream cinema, it would not do this unless there's something happening in the socio-political realm, right? Now, let us take, after you told me, I had to look once again at stuff like Bunty or Bubbly. Now, Bunty or Bubbly is all small. It's not about the small town. It is rather about getting away from the small town, right? So you look at Bunty or Bubbly and Guru about this time, right? Guru and Bunty or Bubbly. Guru is again about small town people expanding their horizons, trying to come out, trying to do something else. The small town was something people try to escape from. The same thing. You want to go global, you want to do this. So I saw this in another book of mine. I interpreted this as a thing of globalization, that India is going global in some way. Therefore, it's coming out of its, shell in some way and joining the global thing in some way. It's becoming a globalized India. Therefore, that is the way I saw it. Now, this actually, after you said this, I had a look at this. This is the opposite actually. It's going into it's going into the thing of the small town. The small town, which is actually, see, for example, look at, I just saw this, Sandeep or Pinky Farrar. I rushed through it in some way. It's actually a kind of, shall we say, a kind of a denigration of the city in some way, right? It's a denigration of the financial sector. It's a kind of thing. Financial sector are all people who get, financial sector people get a lot of publicity out of this. They become big shots. They become national celebrities. But basically, they're a bunch of crooks. So this is basically that way. And finally, they go to the small town. They go to small town on the Pithoragarh or something. I think it's on the Nepal border. They find decent people. Yeah, Pithoragarh. Okay. They get on some decent people, offer them thing, and they hide there and that sort of thing, right? And it's also a kind of, it's actually about a small town person. The male protagonist is this Arjun Kapoor, who's actually a small town policeman or some such thing. And it's a romance like that. It's actually about escape from the city, escape from.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Let me paraphrase for our viewers. Now, what MK sir is now saying is that small town as a concept in movies and television is not exactly about the physical setting of a small town. On the other hand, it's actually a escape from the hustle bustle of a big city. So it is positioned as an escape. So you don't go and watch a movie about small towns because you want to watch a movie about small towns. What you are doing is essentially taking an escape from the regular hustle bustle, the hurly burly of a big city like Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay.
The glamour, I'll say this much. These new movies, the old ones, if you look at Bunty or Bubbly, it's the opposite. They're getting out of the, shall we say, the complete, shall we say, hopelessness of small town without opportunities and that kind of thing, and moving out of there to go to the city to get global, right? The ending of Bunty or Bubbly is that going global is kind of thing that they're, the global nation will need the services of Bunty or Bubbly. Some they're recruited at the end. That is basically right. That their talents are recognized at the global level, maybe as crooks, but the question is that basically the talents are recognized. It's going to be put to use the nation for something to the global level, right? This is basically it. The same thing with Guru, that the small town guy goes global, right? He starts an international level company and this and that, right? So here it's the opposite. Okay. Here, this Sandeep and Pinky, Sandeep or Pinky Farrar is basically about the fake glamour, okay, of the global milieu. It's about the fake glamour of this, and these people retreating and going off to the escape to the village. Not village, the small town, right? Yes. It's the same. You showed me some other movies. It's all there where the protagonist is small town, which is that you told me about. It's Stree, I think you showed me. Stree, I saw that Stree. Then I saw something else.
Stree, yeah. Stree is also a movie which is based in small town. It's actually about a folk horror concept.
Yeah.
And folk is primarily confined to villages, so it's somewhere in Rajasthan.
Yeah, okay. It's again small town thing. The entire thing is small town. What is the reason for that woman to becoming a ghost? Do you recollect? How does she become a ghost?
Because she's exploited, and she's I don't remember exactly, but she's not married or something. Some marriage goes sour or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but
doesn't get what she wants because she's always dressed as a bride, as a spirit. So
the woman who comes looking for investigating this, okay, played by who plays her? The woman, the heroine of the film.
And Shraddha Kapoor.
Shraddha Kapoor. So she comes from outside and she's investigating it, right? Yeah. So the question is, interest is passing, you could say also. It's not simply a matter of escaping from the city. Interest is getting into the small town. Okay. Now this, if you look at it, it would seem to me is rather than India going global, if I looked at the thing that India going global there, here it's India going provincial. Okay.
That's a good one. Well, actually, to be honest, and just a little exit from our chat here, I was just listening. Dr. Sanjay Baru has come out with his
Yeah,
new
correct. I saw that.
about the
Yeah,
letter.
I'm linking up that to this.
And he
Okay.
says that the Indian political fraternity is no longer the ruling elites from St. Stephen's or Bishop Cotton or
Yeah, who had global sites. They
now
were all connected, right? They were globally connected. All of them. Look, you look at the Stephanian group, you look at the Latians group, okay. You find they're internationally connected. They're international
yes,
people in
yes,
some sense,
absolutely.
okay. So the question is, here it looks like they've been pushed out in some way, okay. So the question is, the entire thing is India going provincial. Now, I'll say, look, there's a big problem. We have a problem in India, right? It's one of the problems with India is what is called inward looking.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
inward looking.
yeah, inward looking. Now, what this inward looking has not been given much enough attention. Does not mean you're introspective. It doesn't mean you probe deep into yourself and figure out who you are. That is not the issue here. Inward looking means being preoccupied with your backyard. That's what it means. Okay. I think what is happening is now you look, for example, right now you look at the situation in the world. India is actually some kind of, there's a huge gap between the way Indians talk about themselves in India and the way the rest of the world is talking about India, right? This kind of gap never existed before. I mean, you just look at the way New York Times talks about India. You look at the way the international media is talking about
Well,
India.
that would be a little bit of more exit on what we are talking about right now. But what I would say, out of total curiosity, what you are saying, sir, is actually the big issue of the far right ruling the Indian dispensation today, and all these custodians of Western media are largely leftist. So now, what was happening was they were looking for a scapegoat or looking for, I won't say a villain, but they were looking for a hot story, and somehow India became the biggest.
No, I agree with that, partly with you. See, but you can't take people like Shashi Tharoor as leftists, right? You can't take these Congress guys as, for example, you talk about the Stephanians. Who's the left-wing guy in Stephens? Is Ramchandra Guha is a left-wing? No, they're not. See that they're basically international figures in some sense, and they're globally connected. Okay, Shashi Tharoor is not. The Manishankar Iyer is not. None of them are leftists in that sense, right? The leftists are the more JNU types. The leftists are not really, they write about here and there. But the point is this, that these are not leftists, but the point is they are the Anglophone, they are the sort of, shall we say, the sophisticated Stephanians, this, that, who connected with the world. They go Cambridge, Oxford, this Ingdoon school, this, that kind of thing, right? Now here, what is happening today, look, there is no reason for us to see the right wing as anyway associated with provinciality. It is not necessary. It is not necessary that the right wing should be provincial. For example, the economic right is certainly not provincial, right? So you take Arun Shauri is not provincial, right? He's not provincial. Okay, you look at all these guys are there. I mean, Arun Shauri is right wing anyway.
Okay, sir. Let's get back to.
No, but I'm saying your point is this, that this entire thing of provinciality seems to have come from a certain thing which has been given to India in the past 3, 4, 5 years. What Sanjay Baru says is right. It's a certain thing of the ascendancy of the provincial.
Yeah, I mean, there is a. So, for example, when we talk of heartland India,
Yeah.
talk of only Hindi heartland. I don't know what the hell is that. Now, heartland can be anywhere. It can be in the south, it can be in the east, but it's largely confined to Hindi population. And what I've seen is this entire new slate of films which you are seeing or content, it's targeted mostly at the Hindi heartland citizens, plus the people who were born and brought up in Hindi heartlands who are living across the world.
Yeah.
So we are looking at a Hindification of the audience.
It goes to the same thing, no?
Yeah,
See, for example, the shall we say the haunt of the provincial Indian today is the Hindi heartland. South India is not going this way. South Indian cinema is not going this way. Okay. I don't see that. At least I have not noticed it. It is largely this Hindi area, which is this entire thing of Hindification, Hindi thing, is largely the thing of the present day political dispensations, right? This is basically it, right? So it's not. I don't see, for example, you look at, for example, this guy. What's his name? This Telugu, what became Kabir Singh. Kabir Singh is not like that.
Arjun Reddy, the movies.
Arjun Reddy, yeah. Kabir Singh is not like that. Kabir Singh, look, Arjun Reddy, you look at it, for example, see the Arjun Reddy, if you look at Kabir Singh Arjun, when was Kabir Singh made? When was, you take Arjun
Back, I think.
3 years back, right? You look at it, see now the question is his attitudes of Arjun Reddy are all feudal attitudes. Okay. They are feudal attitudes. They are all from landed gentry. The kind of power he exerts, the kind of confidence he has, Arjun Reddy, the confidence he has to do whatever he wants, including the policeman kowtowing to him, okay, is basically the attitude of a feudal guy, okay. But the feudal guy doesn't want to remain feudal. He's coming into the city. His entire thing is somewhere else, okay. So we are not talking in terms of the provincial there. We are talking in terms of feudal trying to come out, trying to become modern. This entire thing was modern, becoming modern. Here, these films are not about becoming modern. It's the opposite. It's a journey backwards, right? So that is what I'm talking about. I don't find this, what do you say, this small town thing going outside the Hindi belt into the, shall we say, Telugu cinema, Tamil cinema. It's not happening like that. It's largely, yeah, this is my sense of it.
Okay. So it's basically, so what MK sir is saying in the last 5-10 minutes to my audience is, to paraphrase what he's saying is that, we are now moving by looking inwards into who we are from the perspective of Hindi heartland when it comes to movies in Bollywood or Hindi cinema in the last few years. Now, there are very, very scientific, political, socio-political reasons why we are seeing that. Because we have political leaders who are from the Hindi heartland, policymakers, decision makers, administrators, they're all from small town India who have been given good positions. And somehow the ruling elite of Lutyens Delhi, which included the people who were educated at St. Stephen's College or any of these well-known elite institutions in the US, are not that popular anymore, because now audience are seeing in news, in current affairs, they're seeing more and more resurgence of these people, which in some way connects with the idea why writers are writing these stories based in small town.
Yeah, this is roughly my thing. So the small town has come into prominence because of the people of the small town are coming into prominence, are occupying positions of importance in some way. And also those issues, like, I mean, the earlier thing of the global thing. I don't know if, what exactly, and also just look at this. I don't know if COVID has and of course, this COVID is only last year and this year. If COVID has any part to play. When was this thing made? Stree made?
Stree is much before, 4 years back.
4 years back, okay. But there seems to be this other thing. What is that? Something Darling, or don't know what is it called? Dream Girl.
That is also much before COVID. At
okay.
least a year and a half before COVID.
Okay, so COVID does not have much of a thing. But I would look upon this entire provincialization of India is definitely something which seems to be happening. That is, the provincial people are provincial people are becoming, gaining footholds in administration. They're becoming important, and their attitudes, the way they talk, everything is gradually becoming provincial in some sense. Okay, so it's that is reflecting, that is by and large reflecting in the way the provincial is becoming important in cinema. I don't know, for example, it can't look. I have to look at a certain thing, right? What is the audience? What is the audience which is lapping up the cinema? You have to keep one thing in mind, that the entire cinema is no longer the film theater kind of driven audience, but it is largely becoming the OTT thing, right? The question is, what is the kind of audience which is going to these OTTs? What is happening? Because the whole thing of exhibition has changed in cinema, right? What is the thing of exhibition? If you look at the thing of exhibition, what is the audience? It's no longer the multiplex thing. The multiplex thing is over for the time being, at least. Okay, I don't know when the COVID is going to end.
Yeah, I would give another 6 months.
Okay, now the question is that this fact that these OTT platforms are becoming so important. Who exactly, is there any work done on the OTT platforms? What is the other OTT platforms appreciated by semi-urban? What is the kind of audience which
if you look at the demographics of what kind of audience we are seeing in terms of content in OTT, which is coming across all over India, we are seeing a big lapping up of OTT content in tier 2 cities. For example, I'll tell you, I have two very. I've got actually two of these friends I have in an entrepreneur, organization I know, and they're into some bottling business, and in part of UP. Now, although they are living in Lucknow, but they've seen Mirzapur, the TV show. The craze is just beyond belief. I mean,
Okay.
they somehow feel spiritually connected to content like this.
Okay.
They see this show like seven times the whole season, 3 times, 4 times. They love watching.
Okay, no, can I interrupt you, Rahul? See,
Yeah.
this Mirzapur, I've not seen it. Okay, I've not seen this thing. I just saw the first thing. It just put me off. I didn't watch the rest of it. What exactly is the thrust in Mirzapur? I know it seems to be some crime, right?
Well,
It seems
so it basically, sir, there is a geographical backdrop to this.
okay.
Mirzapur has a very big gun business, gun manufacturing,
Okay.
local arms and ammunition being there. So what
Okay.
they've done is they've created a family which is very similar to the Corleone family, or the
Okay.
family which we spoke about in our last episode, in a small town setting wherein there is a lot of Shakespearean crisis in the family.
Okay.
Like Macbeth, people are just backstabbing each other and all. And then there is this entire thing of Bahubali, the guy who would rule the city of Mirzapur.
Okay.
And there are caste-based divisions of different gangs, and one is a Kayast, the other is a I mean different. I don't know the caste myself very well, but
Yeah.
they're all, one is a Tripathi, one is a Khan. So
Kind of gangs of Wasipur kind of stuff.
well, it is a lot like Gangs of Wasipur, but Gangs of Wasipur has actually they are similar, but there are far more characters in Mirzapur as such. If you see,
Okay.
they have a lot of. But then again, we are comparing a 8 to 10 episode show with a 2 hour, 3 hour movie, so
Okay.
it's virtually impossible to compare both of them. But backdrop is quite similar. But then, like my friend Paritosh, who was the guy I'm talking to you about, he was telling me that the Purvanchali gangs are very different
Okay.
than the rest of the North Indian gangs.
Okay.
So they are not that brutal, or they are that brutal. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
there's a very scientific reason
Yeah.
why these gangs are based on the religion and classes.
Okay.
It also portrays a very deep, I would say, deeply percolated class system in UP.
Okay.
Like, they would not expect this from this community at all. So,
Okay.
like, there is a Muslim community, a Muslim family called
Which Mirzapur or the other one?
no, there is one
Mirzapur.
in Mirzapur
Okay.
called Lala's family. So
Okay.
they show how women are so backward. They're not allowed to make a single noise, or they're not allowed to even articulate what they want. So they say you can see the patriarchy as well at play. But
Okay.
at the same time, there are some women in the other gangs who are very active, killing people, who are murderers themselves.
Yeah.
So they would show a lot of this is because of the decades and decades of suppression of women and the Dalits and the low classes, and how they bounce back in these forms.
Okay.
So it's largely about.
Okay. See this. If you look at something like Gangs of Wasipur, okay, it's a kind of exoticization. Okay, it's an exoticization of the small town in a way it would not been shown. I would look upon Gangs of Wasipur actually as some kind of child of Slumdog Millionaire. Okay, it is a child of Slumdog Millionaire in the sense that Slumdog Millionaire is holding up Indian reality, right? So one of the things about Indian reality, which no other reality in the world will give you, is it is grime tourism. You get me? Okay. Grime tourism. Grime tourism. Yeah. You can't see the kind of squalor, the kind of filth, the kind of thing in India. Okay. In any other country in the world, not even in Africa, you won't come across this, right? This kind of urban filth, this kind of thing. The question is what Gangs of Wasipur shows you a bit of somebody's finger lying somewhere, somebody's head somewhere. The what is it called? The butcher's thing containing this. That entire thing. See, the question is, it's scary. The kind of, there's a deliberate attempt there to scare you, showing you aspects of reality which are scary. But it is not meant for a rural audience. It is not meant for a small town audience. It is meant actually for a global audience. It's a kind of exoticization of the, what do you say, of the, exoticization of the lawless. It's a kind of exoticization of
Okay,
lawless
so
India,
I need
right?
to paraphrase this for our audience again.
Yeah. It is not meant for small town audiences. It is meant for a global audience. It's meant for an Indian, what do you say, a multiplex audience. Is Mirzapur like that? You say,
It is. It is, in fact. So now people are actually making treks to Mirzapur,
okay,
and seeing, the titular character's name is Kaleen Bhaiya, because
okay,
he is Akhandanand Tripathi. I think that's his real name.
okay,
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm not very well versed about that. Well versed about
okay,
Mirzapur is, but he is in the carpet business. So
okay,
he's called Kaleen Bhaiya
okay,
because he comes from his business, but he does smuggling of guns for a living.
okay,
Not smuggling, but illegal trade of manufacture of guns, kattas as they call it,
okay,
the desi rifles and all. So
okay.
you are right. Now, I would like to paraphrase what MK sir has just told us. Now, what he is saying is that the kind of content we see in small town India is not built for per se the residents of small town India only. What it does is it brings, as he calls, something called grime tourism.
Grime, grime, yeah,
What he
grime,
grime or crime?
grime.
Crime, yeah, correct.
Grime, yeah, like you have a murder here, you've got a rape there, you've got
So,
cannibalism here, you've got this the kind of things which city people, like for example, um, your IT industry people who probably were funding they were actually the kind of audiences for your what do they call these multiplex audiences, by and large English speaking audiences. It's the kind of thing they would not have seen by and large. Okay,
so,
it's by default it is the kind of thing by vicariously we try to watch the kind of thing they've never seen. Okay,
so
that
I think
way.
what Sir is trying to say is that that grime tourism. So, guys, if you Google the word grime, it means the dirt on the surface of
Yeah,
something really dirty.
yeah,
Now, what Sir is saying is like Slumdog Millionaire, Gangs of Wasipur, they take tour. So when we say dirt tourism or grime tourism, what it means is that they haven't seen or experienced this kind of filth anywhere else. So it gives them the kick to
it's
go
a
and
horror, it's a certain horror, they've the kind of sites that India offers. You go to the worst parts of India, they offer you sites which no other country offers you, I'll tell you that. And I'm not saying, see, for example, some time back I went on a kind of tour of the Chambal Valley and all that. There's something that you look at Madhya Pradesh, you look at some parts of this. For a person living in Bangalore, you go to some of these places, there's something, you've not seen these things at all. I mean, the kind of places, you Uttar Pradesh, some parts of these. I mean, they are how to put it. It's strange. It's outside my experience. I mean, I tell you. I mean, it's a sort of it spells danger in some way. It spells threat of some way, right? That kind of thing people don't get easily. So the question is, when you watch Gangs of Wasipur, I can't imagine those places. I mean, being an Indian, I can't imagine those places. It's showing you places I've never seen, right? That kind of thing. And you can't see this sort of stuff in European cinema. You can't see it in American cinema,
okay.
right?
So just to paraphrase, and then we'll get to our next point I wanted to discuss with you. Now, what Sir is saying is that this kind of sites which they show in these TV shows is unheard of or unseen for the global audience. So it gives them the kick to come and visit this place, that they should come and see what this whole world is all about. And that's what Slumdog Millionaire was about, the small slum in Mumbai and the dirt and filth around it. And a lot of people were angst about how India is portrayed on these platforms. But now, sir, I want to go back to something which is very, very, very pivotal in this entire discussion is the characters which are created out of small town. Now, when we talk about this, be it Bunty or Bubbly, or look at the characters in Masan or even in Stree, you have the other guys. Now, how do you think is the characterization different of somebody in a small town vis-a-vis somebody in a big town?
See, I'll tell you this, Masan should not be included in this. I'll tell you.
Okay,
Masan is actually is completely negative in the sense that it shows the small town as a horrible place, actually. Okay. It is unlikely that Masan will be lapped up by small town audiences. It is very unlikely. Okay. It tries to be realistic. I don't think I don't think that what it is showing is true to fact. Okay. I hardly think that whatever it shows is true to fact. But the point is, Masan should not be taken in this category. It belongs. It's like Titli, right? It's like that. Okay, it belongs to that. It's a certain portrayal. It's a certain kind of realism which is coming. It's closer to Gangs of Wasipur. Masaan is closer to Gangs of Wasipur. I'm not sure. That is why Gangs of Wasipur is not what I'm talking about. Gangs of Wasipur is a tourist's view, okay, of small town India, okay, with threats, with
tourist is the cursory view.
yeah, correct, okay. It's a small town as spectacle, okay. In something like Stree, in something like the small town is not spectacle, right? It's not the same thing. Gangs of Wasipur is a small town as spectacle, Indians grime as spectacle, the same thing with Slumdog Millionaire.
So what about the characters? What about the characters?
We're talking not Masaan, we'll talk about which.
Okay, we talk about pick up Stree, pick up Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, pick up Bunty Bubbly.
They're fairly. I think if you take somebody like Rajkumar Rao, he's fairly convincing as a small town guy, right? He's fairly convincing. He hardly comes. At least he's a reasonably versatile actor. He can fit into various roles. The question is that he doesn't come across unconvincing as a small town guy.
No, sir, I'm talking about the palette of the character development. So, how is it different from a big town character, the small town character? I'm saying that.
First of all, he won't keep breaking off into English and bad words in English. Okay, because he's probably sticks to Hindi in some way. It's the same thing with this chap. What's his name? Sushant Singh Rajput. He acted in that movie. What is that? He plays what does he play? Sushant Singh Rajput. It's a love story. Desi romance. Right? He also, the way he speaks Hindi, he speaks all that. Okay, he's quite convincing as a small town bum in the sense that he has no sophistication. He's not a big town guy. So the question is, they will not break off into English. It seems to be basically not an Anglophone cinema.
Okay.
At the same time, okay, it is not an Anglophone cinema. At the same time, it is not. When I say Anglophone cinema, there was a large number of movies made, say 8 to 10 years ago, or a little afterwards, like stuff like beginning with the Three Idiots, probably stuff like with People Alive, all this stuff. People Alive, for instance, they cast small town. Look, once upon a time, Hindi cinema used to cast super big stars as farmers, right? In this movie, they cast bit players as farmers and make fun of them in some way. So you can take something like People Alive as basically an urban-centric metropolitan version of. So the question there are, the media people are the center of People Alive, not the farmers, right? So there, what happens there is, it's basically an urban-centric. It's basically that kind of Anglophone cinema, which means it is a Hindi cinema meant for English speakers, right? Now that I think is changed with this, in the sense like, as far as I could make out, Salman Khan was the resistance of non-Anglophone India to Anglophone India. Salman Khan was the ideal. For example, you look at something like, that is another small town film, which was that Dabang.
Salman fan, so I don't remember.
Yeah, Dabang.
Dabang.
It's a small town film.
Small town
yeah,
film.
but the point is, it's not about small town India. It's about the Hindi-speaking, non-English speaking Indian, right? Okay, it's not so much about the town, right? It's not so much about the space as about the person. So Salman Khan for a long time was the hero of non-English speaking India, right? That is why he remained, and gradually English speaking India lost interest, and now you've got, shall we say, basically not stars at all. Now the entire Anglophone Indian star is out. Amir Khan is out. Shah Rukh Khan. None of them are really making a thing, and they're not even coming out with movies, right? So that has changed very much. Salman Khan until last year was remaining triumphant in some way. But I think what has happened today is that this non-Anglophone, this small town hero is coming. I think Sushant Singh Rajput, after all the glamour about him, I wasn't prepared for this small town image of Sushant Singh Rajput after I saw this Desi romance, right? Okay. He has a certain completely Desi kind of appearance. He's not the kind, at least in this film, he wouldn't talk English, would he? He wouldn't speak English. It's the same thing with Rajkumar Rao. He fits in completely into this non-English milieu. He completely fits into that. So what I mean is, he would not be sophisticated in that sense. Your Kabir Singh is still sophisticated, right? He is English speaking.
So would you say they are rustic?
Yeah, or they fit perfectly into the rustic thing. They're not villagers so much as small town. Tier 2 is, it would be the thing, right?
So they are
It's the
not
same.
exactly hardcore farmer villagers. They are not hardcore city boys or
Yeah,
people with good English. What, to paraphrase what MK sir is talking about, the characters who are being developed for these small town India based stories are essentially people who are away from the English elitism. They are
yeah,
provincial as they are.
yeah.
They are not very sophisticated, but they are the non Hindi speaking, so non English speaking characters in small town India.
Yeah, they would not, for instance, they cannot be used to promote what do you say, your urban centric consumer products. See, for
Oh wow!
example, Amir Khan, yeah, they were probably soft drinks and all that. I seriously doubt. I don't know how these people would sell soft drinks. See, somebody like Rajkumar Rao. Okay, let's look at the advertisements. I'm not very familiar with this. It would seem to me that somebody like Rajkumar Rao or somebody like Sushant Singh Rajput, if they appeared in ads, would probably be picked on. This is a fairly good indicator. What kind of product would they promote is the question. You look at somebody like Saif Ali Khan. Saif Ali Khan is an extremely urban-centric personality, right? He's very Anglophone. He's whatever he does, his body movements, his body language is all urban-centric. It's very metropolitan. It's very cosmopolitan kind of thing. Rajkumar Rao is not that. Okay, Rajkumar Rao and Sushant Singh Rajput is not that, was not that. Okay. So the question is, these people seem to be, their body language is very, shall we say, so whatever his image going, for example, that, what Chakravarti was her name? Shreya Chakravarti? What was her name? No, something Chakravarti.
Who?
This Sushant, who's associated with Sushant Singh Rajput.
Riya Chakravarti.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so she's much more urban centric. Okay, but the point is, Sushant Singh Rajput was himself a rural guy. I mean, not rural, some small town guy.
Yeah.
He was actually, where was he from? Actually, some part in Bihar, small town. Okay, his Hindi is very small town. It's not a sophisticated Hindi. Okay, it's not a Hindi. It's a small town Hindi from Bihar or some such place. Okay, so that is the kind of thing. It's not so much their moral qualities. All their moral qualities are good. They're upright and all these things, but they're basically located. It's the very first scene in Rajkumar Rao in that movie is three is running, jogging in those by lanes of that small town, right? He's a tailor. Now just look at it. When was the last time that you had a tailor in a small town as the protagonist of a movie, right? Okay, when was a tailor? Okay.
So that's a very interesting observation for our audience. Is that what are the occupation of these leading men who are portrayed in these stories of small town India? A tailor or a local politician or a goon. So these are characters which are very confined to small town India.
Yeah, it is not IT for professional.
We talked about a tailor, which is this, incidentally another movie of Varun Dhawan and Anushka Sharma called Sui Dhaga, which is basically about a small town tailor living in small town India, because it really resonates with a lot of people who want to build a business by stitching shirts and trousers the traditional way.
Yeah.
They're making clothes the traditional way for their regular customers. And I think these characters are very confined and very specific to this geography.
Yeah. No, actually, see, in a way, I would say this, no? The fact that attention is shifting from the Anglophone Indian of the metropolises, okay, to the small occupation people, it looks like a morally correct thing. It's a good thing in the sense that the attention of Indians is shifting from the cities where everything was supposed to take place in the cities, or all glamour was in the cities. That now you have look at the kind of actors coming out now, right? The kind of actors who are coming. I mean, the old stars, the big stars have just gone. They don't no longer visible. They don't see them anymore.
Well, that's another reason, that's what I've been seeing in all of this entire COVID mess. The big motion picture is dead.
Dead, yeah.
I mean, who wants to see a Salman Khan or a Shah Rukh Khan or even a Amir Khan movie for that matter?
Where are they going to watch it? Right? The whole point is, OTT platform is small screen. Yeah, small screen. What is the use of a big picture, right?
Sir, you know me for more than 2 decades. Now, I'm a very big Hollywood viewer. Now, I would go and watch a Hollywood epic on a big screen. I would like to watch that rather than first of all, I consider Shah Rukh Khan, his movies in the last 10 years are absolute garbage.
Absolutely.
Garbage of the next level.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it is like wasting money. You would like, rather than give those 400-500 rupees to a poor kid, I would
yeah,
feel much better, because those movies are meant to mock the intelligence of people.
yeah,
You know, even if I sit on a pot in a bathroom, I would just sit and keep watching you for 1 hour. You will just pay me to keep looking at me. I
yeah.
saw that ridiculous, pathetic, fucked up, sorry to use this word, movie called Zero.
Whose is that? Shah Rukh Khan.
In which
Ah,
he plays this dwarf. Now, what I've realized is all these guys have lost the track of how a story is run, because the movie making doesn't happen like a movie making. It's like, okay, you know, Shah Rukh wants to act in a movie or Salman wants to act in a movie. Now let's build a project around him.
yeah,
So then, like Shreya Narayan was telling us in the last episode, she's herself an actress, as you know. She was saying that Rahul, once there is a subject, a star, then the subject will come, then the writer will come.
what is this? What happened to Ranbir Kapoor, for instance? No sign of Ranbir Kapoor.
Well, sir, he did a movie last. He did Sanju. Then, what did he do? I don't even remember actually, because
I mean, disappeared.
that is a deal that OTT is releasing content day in day out every day.
Yeah,
And you know, India's entire poor COVID management has ensured that no new shooting happens. On the other
yeah.
hand, LA is opening up, New York is opening up, London is opening up. So their movies are now starting. They are releasing a lot of movies.
But see, I don't think Bollywood will recover from this. In the sense that, I mean, that in the old form, I mean, the big blockbusters, in that blockbuster format. I mean, that way.
Right, it's a very important topic, and maybe we should talk about this in our next episode with some more
Okay.
people.
Okay.
What is the future of the big screen now?
Yeah. I don't know. See, big,
all of this happened around the 4G internet revolution of Geo.
yeah.
Ensured world-class bandwidth to the smallest of cities in India. So when you see the streaming quality is better than the theater.
Yeah.
And when you are stuck in your house for 2 years, what will you do? You'll watch OTT.
Yeah. Correct. Correct. So I think that this end. So the question is now this very important information you've given me, that this it's going to the tier 2 cities. Okay. So the question is,
So as per a lot of analytical reports I've heard, I have some friends in Reliance and here there, I've seen that now people feel in tier 2 cities that they are being celebrated globally.
yeah.
You know.
Correct. That's interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example, so in Mirzapur, in one of the scenes, one of the women kills one of the protagonists with this big long knife, so it's like a big thick rectangular knife, this thick blade, and very little holding area. So I didn't know what it was called. So until my friend told me it's called farsa. I've never heard this name in my life.
Okay.
Because you have to remember that their provincial vocabulary is something which is very exclusive. You know, just because I live in Delhi, I don't know about these, these usages. And then there is, of course, the way they approach. They talk to you like the word tum or tu is not that. In Lucknow, they will say aap, to give respect.
Yeah.
But they will kill somebody by calling aap also.
Okay.
So it's not just that. But great. So just to paraphrase again what MK said last said, is that we are seeing a shift of the small town content is so powerful, it has stolen the thunder from these top Khan actors or this Bollywood movies. We are seeing, so then there is another thing. The content producers, not the last thing which we'll discuss in this episode, I think, which is very important, is who is producing this content. Now, largely, if you look at this kind of content produced on the big screen, it will be a Desi producer or a Desi production house or an Indian high quality. Even Desi doesn't mean anything derogatory. It means Indian production house like Yash Raj or UTV. All these guys will produce. But now, who is producing this alternate content? It is Prime. It is Netflix. It is Hotstar, which is now Disney. You have Sony. So who are these people? They are your foreigners.
Correct. The bottom of the thing.
Yeah, for whom the audience is made. So somewhere down the lane in Netflix's headquarters in LA, when they look at something like Sacred Games, oh man, this is so weird. So let's take it.
But I don't know if should we say something like Sacred Games. Again, Sacred Games is plays the same.
Although Sacred Games is a wrong example, but maybe something like actually the middle, I would say like Prime. sanctioning, Amazon Prime sanctioning Mirzapur.
Yeah.
So that's a very good
Yeah,
example.
no, actually, this film was. I rather like this, White Tiger. I like that film. It's not bad at all. I mean, it has certain, but it's a pretty interesting film. I rather like that film, and I thought that thing was terrific. Which one? Delhi Crime. I thought it was on best, probably the best Indian whatever.
Maybe you spoke about it before also.
Yeah, it's terrific
But
stuff.
Delhi Crime, but still would not be provincial. It's big town.
It's
But-
big town.
but
It's
I
not
would say
provincial.
The provincial bit in Delhi Crime are these police officers from
Yeah.
Haryana who
Correct,
are now
yeah.
in Delhi.
Yeah,
You have to remember, Delhi that way is very different.
correct.
The security forces in all big towns are all
Yeah.
provincial.
Correct. Yeah.
Who wants to work in Delhi police? I don't know
Correct.
anybody.
It would have to be somebody from Haryana.
Somebody from Haryana or from UP who have come. So there's a lot of, but very interesting session, sir, today. You gave us a lot of insights into the content, its political nature, why is it existing. So today we discussed why these movies are made, what is the socio-political reasons we see why this content is written. We are seeing why these kind of actors are being cast. We spoke about who are producing these movies and what is so, very, very focused about these characters. How are they different from the from the big town characters? So it's a whole avalanche of content around this. And it is, I think, a very, 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 very heartwarming thing to see that India is sitting on a mountain of content. It's just waiting to be explored. And thank you very much, everyone. This was yet another episode of Scholarly with Mr. M.K. Raghavendra. Please support the COVID initiative of Roundtable India. The details are at the end of the episode. And you can send them any amount you want or engage with their local chapters across India. And we will see you soon in yet another episode of Scholarly. This is Rahul Gupta signing off for Filmy Banya. And I hope, and I sincerely hope you stay safe, stay indoors, wear a mask, get vaccinated. Thank you.